Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to question and answer. So I'll wait for a minute here. I'm trying something new, so just let me know if you can see me and hear me. And I want to just make sure technically we're good. Debbie, Suzanne, Andrea, Mike from Wawa, Rakea, Claudette, Maureen, Nick, good morning. Give me a thumbs up. Some of you are doing that. Good. Thank you. Another Nicole from Iowa. Good morning to you. Kim from Florida. Good. All is good, says Nicole. Okay, so Kim and Jerry and Andrea, good morning. Mark Anthony, good morning. Crystal and Joy. Annette, bon vendredi. Yes, same to you. Maria and Georgetta. Good. Everybody's saying I'm good so far. Diane, good morning to you. Julie, good. Debbie, how are you? Okay, ready to go. And Jeanette. Okay, we got a lot of questions, and I'll come on afterwards and say hi to you. Okay, so here we go. Yolande, bonjour. Okay, so let's go over these questions. A lot of them on the reset, so that's all right. I want to reinforce why I do what I do. You can ask any question you want. Okay? Now, I might not spend a lot of time on some of the questions because, you know, that might be specific to you and not to the audience in general, but generally I try and answer all of them. Cod liver oil, Bonnie's asking. Yes, I like cod liver oil. Okay? Cod liver oil I used to get as a kid. And cod liver oil was really good as a kid. You know why they gave it? For rickets. They wanted to give you vitamin D, and cod liver oil was, you know, for softening of the bones. But what they didn't realize back in those days, that cod liver oil was actually very good for your immune system. It gave you vitamin D and it gave you vitamin A. And it also gave you omega-3. Again, back then, they didn't even think about that. They were giving it to kids for their bones, for rickets. And unfortunately, I just want to say this. Vitamin D in a lot of doctors, you know, it's changing. But a lot of doctors, the problem with them is their training is they're looking at vitamin D and bones. And it's all right because vitamin D is essential for bones. But they miss out on the big picture, you know, especially in this day and age when they've shown the research on vitamin D and COVID. I mean, that is the most incredible thing. Now, coming back to cod liver oil, the problem with cod liver oil doesn't have a lot of vitamin D. Okay? It doesn't have a lot of vitamin D. It's a better source of vitamin A than it is for vitamin D. For bones, yeah, it would give you enough. Immune system, no. That's why I like vitamin D on its own. Now, there's nothing better in vitamin D than the sun. The sun is the best source of it. But if you're in, it's 30 below, you ain't getting vitamin D. You're getting melatonin. Remember I talked to you about that. You get outside, you look at the sun, you know, you don't look right into the sun, but it's a bright day, you're getting melatonin. Your body makes melatonin, by the way. But you pump it up by in a bright day. So sunny day, melatonin, dark, pitch black room at night, melatonin. Your body makes it in the sunlight and in complete darkness. Your body's smart. You know, so people talk about taking melatonin as a supplement. Yeah, some people, they like it and it's good for them. Clinically, I just found after a while, melatonin, you're better off to get your vitamin D levels better. So coming back to cod liver oil, do I like it? I love it. As a sole source of vitamin D, no, it's not enough. It's not enough in my opinion. You'd have to take too much cod liver oil. But I like it. I do. I like cod liver oil. I have fish oil every day. Cod liver oil is a little different because it's got good source, like I said, of vitamin A. You know how you get vitamin A in food? Vitamin S. Steak. Vitamin S. So again, don't take, in my opinion, do not take cod liver oil just for your immune system. It's not enough. You need to take a separate vitamin D. And I talk about that a lot. I do not apologize for being right on vitamin D for the last 45 years or 40. No, it's essential. Every cell in your body has a receptor for vitamin D. Now they know that. Do you think it's essential? It's not even a vitamin. It's a hormone. Really is classified as a hormone. Your body can't live without it. Okay, good question. Thanks, Bonnie. Linda, if we only eat protein and it will turn to sugar, do you need fat also? Absolutely. Now, let me explain that, okay? Just because some people, they listen closely, and I like that, okay? And what they're saying is, okay, here's what I'm saying, okay? So really listen up. Your body is so smart, so fearfully and wonderfully made, says the Bible. Absolutely unbelievable. If it needs sugar, your body will turn steak into sugar. Now, let me just rephrase this. Your body tightly regulates sugar. Okay? It will not keep it in the bloodstream. You need a lot less sugar than you think you do. As a matter of fact, you never need any sugar because, like I said, if you can live without a carbohydrate. You can't live without protein and you can't live without fat, but you could live without a carbohydrate the rest of your life. And I have patients, and I mean that do not eat any carbs. They were diabetic or whatever. They had cancer or whatever, and they just swore off of them and they don't have any. And who was asking about this? Let me get to it because somebody asked a good question about it. Well, think of, and I know I can't use the word Eskimo, but Inuit. You know, in the 1950s, and I'm just trying to think of his name, it was a Canadian guy that actually got caught up in the Arctic. He missed his he missed his ride back to come back to, I think he was in Manitoba, and he was in the Arctic, and he lived and he observed and he ate exactly like the Inuit did. He couldn't get over it. Actually, he wrote about it. Here's people that don't have any carbs. They live off fat and protein, seal, blubber, whale. He couldn't get over it. As a matter of fact, he wrote about it. I'll look up his name again. I've forgotten it. And he wrote a book about it in the 1950s. He said, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not sliced bread. Is how good, how healthy that those Inuit were, and number one. And number two, how healthy he felt. Almost every book I've written, I have, I don't know about a chapter, but just about, saying that the Inuit don't get heart disease. They don't. They die because the polar bears eat them. They don't die of the same diseases that we have. Chronic diseases, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes and Alzheimer's and all those modern chronic diseases. You know, like the Eskimos are not chasing a seal and, the Inuit. They're not chasing the seal and die of a heart attack. I guess it can happen, but it's not, statistically, they just don't have it until they get our food. Chronic diseases. To my lovely First Nations people, I've done a lot of work with the First Nations in Canada. They love me because I get them laughing. I said, you better have a sense of humor because I'm going to tease you now. I said, the white man, we took your land and now we're killing you with our food. They find that funny. And I said, it's true because you guys got all the chronic diseases, especially diabetes. And I said, would you get back to eating off the land, please? You introduce sugar into your diets and the crappy carbohydrates. That's white man's food. That's why you're so sick. You got diabetes, about 80% of the population. Same with the African Americans. They're terribly unwell. They weren't meant to eat carbs like they eat. Okay, good questions. Sylvie asking about sugar and carbs causing inflammation. Yep. Why not the anti-inflammatory diet? Well, I don't know, Sylvie, if you're mentioning something specific, the anti-inflammatory, I don't know of a better anti-inflammatory diet than the reset diet. Eggs, meat, and cheese. It lowers your inflammation because it lowers your insulin. You lower insulin resistance and you're fixing inflammation. You see, inflammatory foods are ones that cause your insulin to skyrocket. And insulin skyrockets when you're eating crappy carbohydrates and sugar. So the anti-inflammatory diet, I know what you're saying, because they talk about berries and eating just vegetables and all this and that. I disagree with it a little bit. Not that, okay, because somebody, let me ask. Joe was asking. Joe says, okay, Joe says he understands the purpose of the reset, then says, yeah, but what about beets and blueberries and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables? Now, listen, Joe, I'm not saying they're no good. Blueberries, they're good for you. But remember, the reset is a 30-day program. It's not forever. Although some people, like I said, some people never have another carbohydrate. If you can do that, hey, you feel good, do it. But if you go to page 91, Joe, on my book. I don't know if you got my book, but I explain it. Why no fruits and vegetables? Why nothing from the plant kingdom? I explain it. And remember, it's temporary. I live in Northern Ontario. Blueberries are famous there. So am I telling you never to have blueberries? No, I'm not telling you that at all. I'm telling you for 30 days do it. Why? I don't want any fructose. None. Nada. One of the reasons is because fructose, when a bear wants to gain weight, they eat up to 30,000 berries a day. I mean, that's incredible. Okay? But it makes fructose is stored as fat. And I'm not against it. You have a few berries. Come on. It's part of my Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie. But on page 91, no fructose, no lectins, no cellulose, no oxalates, no insoluble fibers, and of course you're not going to have any gluten. I don't want any of those things for 30 days. Your body will thrive by doing that. I know it, Joe, it goes against all teaching. It goes against every guru that happens to be my colleagues. It goes against them. I get it. But clinically, because I'm a clinical guy, I did it. If you know the history of it, that's very important to understand it. It was to put diabetes, originally, the reset was to put diabetes into remission in 4 weeks. And it did it every time. Remission. Not cured, because you're never cured. It's like an alcoholic. Are they ever cured? No. They go into they get sober, and they never, if they don't touch alcohol, they're in remission. They're in remission. So you go, it's like cancer. Does cancer ever go away? Oh, doc, I'm cancer-free. You're in remission. Don't go back to your old habits. You go back to your old habits, and you're going to get into trouble again. So the idea with the reset is to completely change. Anti-inflammatory, it lowers your and somebody's asking this question, I'll get to it in a second, but it lowers your triglycerides, it elevates your good cholesterol. Okay, because somebody was asking, let me get to it. I'm getting maybe off a little bit, okay? How long does it take to get rid of insulin resistant, Terry? 30 days. But remember what I'm saying. Remember what I'm saying is that if you go back to eating the way you used to, and by the way, can I just say this? Somebody said they had a meal during the reset, and you know they cheated. Well, I don't want you to do that. But does that ruin everything? No. Okay, but you're not getting a reward. Not for 30 days. Try and be as faithful as you can to that, okay? So Terry asking, how long does it take? It takes 30 days. For some people, it takes less. But if you want your cells, okay? So just, here, I'm going to make a little drawing. There's a cell, okay? I flunked art, okay? See that? There's a cell. What happens to cells, the more and more you eat sugar, crappy carbs, the more you get, see, Resistance. The cell wall resisted. I always use the illustration of a bad neighbor. They're always around. Ooh. Your cells don't like insulin. They like insulin if they come around every once in a while. You ever had a bad neighbor that, ooh, here they come again? That's what insulin resistance is. Insulin resistance is when your cells go, oh, no, they're coming again. But when you eat carbs, and 88% of the, not according to Dr. Martin, according to the CDC, 88% of the people in North America, and I think it's higher than that, but 88% have a bad neighbor. They have insulin resistance. 88%. Insulin resistance affects your liver. It elevates your triglycerides. It lowers your good HDL, your good cholesterol. And by the way, I don't care about LDL. You can't make me care about it. Dr. Martin, what about LDL? My total cholesterol? I don't care. Please, I don't care. You can't make me care. I don't care. Because it doesn't matter. Again, you're going to hear lots of different on that. You're going to hear, your LDL, but it was made up. LDL was made up. Lowering your LDL. You know why they lower your LDL? Because they got a medication that can lower your LDL. Your diet's not going to lower your LDL. It doesn't matter. You get your HDL, good cholesterol. You want to die young? Get your cholesterol down. I know, but it's true. It's true. Okay. And Jennifer is saying, Dr. Martin says that triglycerides are 3 sugars. No, I never said that. Okay? Jen, what I said is triglycerides are 3 fat balls caused by sugar. Sugar stored as glycogen too much. What does the liver do? I mean, besides making lots of fat cells and whatever, when the suitcase is full, when the minivan is full and you can't store anymore, you know what happens? It sends it into your bloodstream as triglycerides. So they're 3 fat balls. And you don't want that. And you want to have very high HDL, because HDL are the ones that take the fat balls and take them out of your bloodstream. You got that? You want high cholesterol, HDL. And you want low triglycerides. Like I said, I'll look at those numbers. I can tell you in 5 seconds what your liver's doing and what your blood vessels are like, okay? So thanks again for all these questions, okay? Pauline says, I heard that the keto diet over a period of time is not good for you. Well, Pauline, I think I answered that, because the Inuit would always be on a keto diet. Here's me, okay? And I've said this to you, and I just got to repeat. Like, me and keto, I get it. I know what the keto diet is. The reset isn't a keto diet per se. Will you go into ketosis? Yeah, probably. But like people they're measuring their ketones and this and that. I'm not big on that. Because I'm in an elimination diet. Eliminate your carbs. Keto, you know, they got all these things. You go to Costco and they got a whole thing on keto foods, you know, and people, okay, it's lower carb. I get it. But I like the real foods. What your body was meant to eat was a lot of animal protein and fat. Eggs, meat, and cheese. And vegetables and fruit. And very little fruit today, because we live in a different world. That's why I'm not a big fruit guy. Like, guys, you've heard me say it. Your pancreas doesn't know a banana from M&Ms. Remember that teaching? What is it for a banana? 49 M&Ms? It doesn't know the difference because it has to secrete the insulin. So I always we live in a different world. That's why I tell people, bananas. I like bananas. I got long arms because I love bananas. You could give me peanut butter and banana and I'm a happy puppy. But that's a treat once in a while for Dr. Martin. I have to be careful with my insulin. Guys, what I'm preaching to you, I live. If people ask me, well, you know what I do? I live on eggs, meat, and cheese. And I married an Italian, for heaven's sakes. Like Rosie, you got to taste her Italian food. It's to die for. But I don't live on it. I don't. I can't. And neither can you. Okay. Okay, Joe. So I think I answered your questions. Pauline, you heard wrong. Okay. And Carolyn's asking a good question. Like, some people that have done the reset, their triglycerides went up. How come? Well, you're weird. Look, I'm not laughing at you. Hopefully you can laugh at yourself a little bit. Because some people ask me these questions and I go, yeah, well, you're weird. It's not supposed to happen like that. Because 99.9% of the people, triglycerides are made from carbohydrates, guys, from sugars. Okay? That's science. If you don't have any sugars and your triglycerides go up, you're weird. Lovingly, I say it, okay? No, there's other factors. For diabetics, it can happen at first. For people that have a thyroid problem, and you might not even know it, that can happen. Medications. Some people are on meds, and that throws your triglycerides off temporarily. And their triglycerides, instead of going down, go up. But it's very rare, and it's not supposed to be, and there's something usually going on. Could be your kidneys. A lot of times you have kidney stress. And ordinarily in 30 days, you fix your kidneys with the reset. I'm aiming. Doc, what are you aiming at? I aim at your pancreas, number one. I aim at your liver. I aim at your kidneys. I aim at your gut. All of those things I aim for to fix. Was it yesterday or whatever? We talked about PPIs and proton pump inhibitors, and I'm aiming for that, to fix that. Because if you get your insulin down, it's amazing what happens to your stomach, even your gut. If you're not feeding the bears, yeast needs sugar. Yeast hates steak. It hates it. Somebody said, I eat red meat and I sweat. I wasn't sweating before. You're weird. I say that lovingly, okay? Because my wife's going to give me trouble after for saying, to quit telling people that they're weird. Oh, that's you, Martine. Okay. But obesity and, your triglycerides might go the other way for a bit. Most of the time, folks, it don't, okay? So liver disease, kidney disease, the fact that diabetes sometimes just takes longer to flip that around, okay? And but generally you're doing the right thing, okay? And Dan's asking about hydroquinone cream for age spots. I don't know. I have no experience with it, Dan. Here's what I like for age spots. I like Rivera, our gel with pine bark extract and hyaluronic acid. It's, to me, of course, I'm biased. It's the best anti-aging gel that, in my opinion. And look at our reviews on that product. It's tremendous. Okay. Francis is asking about cramps, and that's usually with cramps. When you are switching fuels on the reset, sometimes you get, a lot of people do get cramps. Their body's not used to it. There's a big shift that's going on in their kidneys, and it's an adjustment period. A lot of people get cramps, and you can take some potassium. You know what I found? You know what I found for me? Pickle juice. To me, it's the best electrolyte. Okay? And seriously, I just found it to be the best. Pickle juice, take a tablespoon or so, a couple of times a day of pickle juice. And the higher the sodium is in that pickle juice, the better it is for cramping. Okay? So that's what I found clinically. Now, you can take potassium, you can take magnesium, okay? For cramps, absolutely. I love magnesium. You guys know that, okay? Essential tremors, Nancy, that's leaky gut. Fix the gut. Parkinson's, fix the gut. It's a yeast that gets into the brain. MS, fix the gut. It's leaky gut, 100%. Autoimmune is leaky gut. Essential tremors is leaky gut. Jan, cold urticaria. Gets hives in the cold. Well, move to Florida. Jan, yeah, it happens. You're different. I won't say the word weird anymore, okay? I promise. Is there anything you can do? I don't know. Bell's palsy, trigeminal neuralgia. Who was asking that? Oh, I didn't write it down. Good questions. Bell's palsy usually happens after infection, virus, and it can affect. And trigeminal neuralgia is different because that's pain. In the, if you take your hand and do this, okay, you get your cranial nerves, see, coming out of your spine. So you look at those okay, you have 3 cranial nerves, okay? So that's how I memorized it when I was in school, okay? Put my hand like a claw, and you get those nerves, okay, on your lip and on your cheek. And trigeminal neuralgia, your face gets like this, okay? Oftentimes after a virus, lots of stress. Usually there's a perfect combination of stress and viral that causes, and that can be very painful. Bell's palsy too, it affects that same area, okay? Bell's palsy is usually not painful, it's just that their face droops. But you can get facial pain, and that's trigeminal neuralgia, okay? So, guys, thank you very much for all the questions. I hope I didn't forget any. I probably did. Let me just check it again. Couple of things. One, if you're not part of the Martin Clinic Facebook group, join and get your friends and family to join. That's a great, great, great community, okay? Like I said, a lot of times I don't even have to answer because people are answering. They're already giving the answer in the club, okay? And I like that. And 10 minutes, okay, I talked about cod liver oil. There was somebody asking something else. I talked about, does mullein or mullein help the lungs? I know what you're talking about, excessive mucus. Well, nothing like, I get it to want to dry up. I used to have a lung formula too that helped to dry up the lung, but there's nothing. Your lungs, if they're full of phlegm, it's usually yeast. So leaky gut, leaky lungs. Fix that gut. Okay, fix the gut. A lot of times you'll get postnasal drip. That'll put a lot of fluid into the lungs, down through the trachea, and you want to dry that up. Leaky gut, leaky lungs, okay? I think GERDs, Gail's asking about GERD. I'm weaning off my proton pumps quite successfully. And Gail is saying if she drinking water, like I guess with the diet, she's doing really well. But if she drinks water, she finds it's bothering her. Well, then cut back, Gail. That's unusual, but because I was talking to you the other day about acid reflux, and usually it's dehydration or insulin or both. But for you, if you find water bothers that, then cut back. Okay, like everybody, you got a different fingerprint. There's 7 billion people on the planet, and nobody is just like you. And it just, if that's what it is for you, make an adjustment. I always used to tell even my staff, ask Nicole, ask Jeanette, that worked for me for years, listen to your patient. Listen, because they got inside information. And if someone says something to me that's different than 99.9% of the other people, that's all right. That's all right. You're different. But you got to understand, for me, I'm not going to put everybody in, because you are like that, I'm not going to say, well, water is no good for you, because you need water. 90% of the population are dehydrated. 90. It's dangerous. You should never be dehydrated. But if you find that water gives you acid reflux, your body's probably going through an adjustment, and just wait it out, man. Just, drink. You're going to need some water, but just figure out how much you can do without that. Is turkey, Monique is asking, is turkey healthier than chicken? Probably a little bit more protein. Chicken and salad. Ladies. Are you trying to get me, Monique, to say turkey and salad? Turkey and salad. Eat red meat, for heaven's sakes. I'm just teasing, Monique. Yeah, it's probably a little bit healthier. Okay? Good question. I remember answering that a few times, but I can't remember how long ago now. Heidi's asking about red yeast rice to lower cholesterol. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to lower your cholesterol? No, I get it. Because that's a substitute for a statin drug. But why do you want to lower your cholesterol? I'm sorry. I don't want to lower your cholesterol. I want to elevate your cholesterol by eating eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay? Donna's asking about why. Oh, Sue's asking, why does Dr. Martin love low cortisol? Well, look, you don't want to be too low in cortisol, and you don't want to be high. Most of the people, unless you're completely exhausted, they get low levels of cortisol. But it was because they were secreting cortisol for so long, they just got exhausted. Yeah, because cortisol is this, okay? Just remember, Sue. I was answering a question today just because somebody sent me their blood work and I was getting back to them and they said, I'm surprised that I have high cortisol. I said, what planet are you living on, man? In this day and age with COVID, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have high cortisol. Why do I want to lower it? Well, you got to listen to our teaching. I think we sent it out yesterday. If you weren't on our seminar, was it last week? You want to get that teaching on 8 reasons you want to get your cortisol to go down. Because cortisol is a killer. Remember the book that I wrote? 2 hormones that want you dead. Insulin and cortisol. Because you're not meant to be uptight all the time. It has a major effect on the body. It'll exhaust you, give you brain fog, affect your digestion, affect your heart, affect your immune system. La da 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 da. That's what cortisol does. Cortisol's meant to be temporary, not to be long-term. So that's why I love lowering cortisol, balancing your cortisol. Okay? And if there's any formula better than ours, it doesn't exist. The cortisol formula. I'm telling you. We formulate our own products. Donna, Yacon syrup. Can I ask you, Donna, what the H, double hockey stick, is Yacon syrup? I can't say that I've ever heard of it. And I thought I heard of everything. See, if you put that on the Martin Clinic private Facebook group, I guarantee you'll get people in there that knows what that is. I never heard of it. I know what maple syrup is. I know what agave is. I know all these kind of things. Yacon, I'll look it up. I don't know what it is. I don't want to comment. Generally, if it's sweet, not too much. Maple syrup, I love maple syrup. Canada's contribution to society. Canadian maple syrup. It's wonderful. But you got to be careful. Again, we live in a different world. Eensy amount, not much. Because your pancreas don't know the difference between a chocolate bar and maple syrup. It don't. One has nutrients. I know maple syrup has some nutrients in it, right? It's God's gift to humanity. But again, we live in a different world where insulin is the big problem, so be very, very careful. I promise you I will look up Yacon syrup. Goiter. How does one develop goiter? Well, listen, thyroid is a puppet. Remember, it's the thyroid. It's usually not just primarily the thyroid. There's a lot of things that make the thyroid go unwell, and you know the goiter can be a form of hyperthyroidism. You know, the eyes come out and get a big ball right there, a goiter. I've seen it many a times. Usually I fix their diet with the Reset helps goiter big time. It really does. I think it's a combination of insulin and hyperthyroidism. Okay? So you want to balance that out and turn that off. How long does it take? Pauline's asking, how long does it take? Geez, I missed a lot of questions. How long does it take to repair leaky gut? Some people, it's a year or two. It just depends how many antibiotics they've taken in their lifetime or whatever. And you should always be repairing leaky gut. Like you can, you know, is there a day that your leaky gut is repaired? Yes. But remember, that's why I'm big on taking probiotics all the time, because there's so many things that can cause leaky gut. Even cortisol does. So we live in a world that, is an onslaught to leaky gut. And I just say, like always, but like for people that have a serious leaky gut, it can take up to a year. Like the reset is tremendous because you kill off the yeast. The yeast, it's not being fed. Okay? I missed a lot. Okay. What do I think of Mary's asking high variations in blood oxygen saturation while sleeping? What causes it? Weird? Okay, I promise. I said I wouldn't say that again. It can happen, I guess, but nothing to worry about. Okay, and everybody's different. Again, there's so much. Is it safe to take selenium and chromium supplements? Well, I've got it in my insulin formula. I've got selenium, chromium. I have it in my insulin balance. So is it safe? Absolutely, it's safe. Okay? Yeah. What do I think of calcium channel blockers? Well, look, again, I don't like to specifically go after medications. I mean, I never tell patients to come off their meds. I try and go the other way and fix. And then let's see if your doctor takes you off your meds, if you fix the problem. So I'm not a Ken, and it's a good question. Diane, okay. Can L-glutamine help leaky gut? Yep. You know what has a lot of L-glutamine? I have it in my IBS formula, by the way. Bone broth. L-glutamine helps to repair the lining of the gut, the little wee small epithelial lining of the gut. What does Dr. Martin think of adrenal gland extract? Not much. I tried it over the years. I never found it to be that effective on its own. I like the combination that we put together for the adrenals, which is a cortisol balance. To me, there's nothing healthier for your adrenals than that. My humble opinion. How does your appendix work? Who asked that? Jennifer. That's a good question. You know what? Can I just give you a little bit here, and let me finish with this. Do you know that it wasn't that long ago, okay, when I was a little boy, okay, in the 1950s, do you know that I was the only kid in my grade 5 class or so, grade 5 or grade 6, the teacher says, if you still have your tonsils, put your hand up. I looked around. I was the only guy in my class that still had his tonsils. See, my dad wouldn't let us get our tonsils out. He knew better. Because you know what they said in those days? It's a true story. Okay? Your tonsils were part of the evolutionary part of your development. It was evolution, and you really don't need them anymore. And therefore, let's get rid of them. Seriously, that was the teaching, even in medical school. So guess what? They used to lure you, like they'd go fishing and say, let's get your tonsils out at the first sign of infection. Why would they do that? Well, because you didn't need them. And every doctor in the universe, just about, took your tonsils out at the first sign of infection because you didn't need them. They were going to become extinct. That was the teaching. I'm not kidding you. You know what they found out? You know what they found out? Your tonsils are essential for your immune system. They're trap doors, and bacteria sticks to them and virus sticks to them. And anything that doesn't want to go down into the lungs, the tonsils are there to protect. Now, isn't it interesting? You almost have to have gangrene in your tonsils for a doctor to get rid of them. That was the teaching. I'm not kidding you. I lived through it as a little boy. I'm the only guy. I looked around. Oh, geez. I asked my dad. I said, how come I can't get my tonsils out? I want ice cream at the hospital too. You got to spend a day in the hospital, I think overnight or two. I don't remember. And my friends were getting ice cream at the hospital. I wanted ice cream. My dad says, you need your tonsils. Okay. You also need your appendix. Because that was the teaching too. That you didn't need your appendix because it was part of evolution. Well, I'm not big on evolution. Okay? Because you need your appendix. Because you know what they're finding now? That the appendix is a huge part of your immune system. It's not just wasted part of your colon. It is part of your immune system. And don't take it out unless it's completely infected. Yeah. So, your appendix is part of your immune system. You need it. Don't take it out unless, look, I'm not saying there's never an emergency appendectomy. Of course there is. But it's part of your body, and there's an important part of your body. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not important. Okay? Guys, thanks so much. Okay, you guys are great. I thank you for all the questions. We love you. Talk to you soon.